Jesse.
And I'm Scott, and welcome to the SFFaudio podcast.
Cool.
How you doing, Jesse?
I'm fine, Scott.
All right. Hey, for those who don't know, I am in Idaho, and Jesse is in Canada.
Don't tell them! Oh, jeez.
Don't tell them that?
Now
I
they
forgot
know.
your secret government job.
Oh, no.
I should have...
Oh, now you're giving everything away.
Oh. Okay. Am I going to have, like, a brain scan or something like that? Are they going to erase my brain now?
Ugh. You think it's a joke, but I'm going to die now. I'll come in.
Well, this is my final
my
podcast.
Well, your final podcast with me. Because I'm going to be dead. But
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that new Joss Whedon series, by the way, which is about almost the same thing.
Dollhouse, isn't it?
Yeah, Dollhouse.
When's that coming out?
This next season, so it's got to be September sometime.
Okay.
So this month.
Well,
That's
what does
exciting.
that have to do with audiobooks?
Well, absolutely nothing, which is
Okay.
why we're going to talk about them right now.
Okay.
I've got a stack here from Blackstone Audio. The first one, Philip K. Dick, Ubik. Is that how you pronounce it?
Ubik, I think.
Ubik. Read by Anthony Heald.
He's the guy who does all the Star Wars audiobooks.
Yeah, not anymore. Jonathan Davis does them now.
Right,
but he
right.
used to. Yeah, he did. He had them at one time. So, is this one that you've read?
No, I've heard some stuff about it on the internet. I think I heard a podcast that had something about Ubik in it. It's like a sort of like a universal spray that you spray on things to. I think it reverses entropy.
Huh.
Not sure how to do that, how that works. But being that it's Philip K. Dick, it'll be awesome.
Yeah, it says it's a searing metaphysical comedy of death.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
that's
and salvation. I should finish the sentence.
of
And
course.
salvation.
You always have to add that as the last line in the Philip K. Dick.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, Blackstone Audio has been publishing a lot of Philip K. Dick stuff, and all the recordings are excellent.
Well, I think we posted a story saying that there was 8 coming out. They had bought 8 old Philip K. Dick books, the rights to 8 of them. And I think they've put out like 3 or 4 of the recent ones. There's the Man in High Castle, and did I already put up a review for one recently?
Yeah, you did one recently.
I can't even remember what it was. What was it?
Well, I can't remember either. It's not coming to mind.
It was really
I can
good.
Look it up. It was excellent, though. Yeah, a good
Yeah.
review.
It wasn't like his best one, but it was quite good. Whatever.
Well, cool. All right. Yeah, now I've got Vin Diesel looking me in the face here. Got a book called Babylon Babies by Maurice G. Dantec, and this is translated from French.
I was gonna guess, yeah.
Yeah, and let's see, it's been made into a movie called Babylon A.D. starring Vin Diesel. You know, and that's something that, you know, I don't read a heck of a lot of fiction that's not produced either in Canada or the United States. And, you know, so I really have no clue what's going on in Europe in the science fiction world.
No, I've never heard of this guy.
I should correct him, yeah.
No, I've never heard
Yeah,
of
I have
that.
no idea if this is typical or what.
It could be old or it could be new. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's a fairly big one, 20 hours long. Let's see.
I like the last line in the description. It says, exploring the symbiosis between organic matter and computer power to spin new forms of consciousness. What the hell does that mean? Babylon Babies rides Nietzsche's prophecy. Man is something to overcome. Okay. It sounds interesting, but it certainly doesn't tell you much, does it?
Yeah. The back of the thing, it says, combining metaphysics with cyberpunk post-humanism in the spirit of Philip K. Dick.
Yeah, everybody wants to add in a little line about Philip K. Dick now.
Yeah, he's incredibly popular right now, isn't he?
I think he was always super popular in France, so there's probably some sort of I think one of the last interviews they have with him on camera is him in France at a science fiction convention. So
Wow, that's amazing to me. You know how. So Jerry Lewis and Philip K. Dick are very popular in France.
Oh, now you've gone and stereotyped the whole country. See,
All right.
everybody says.
See, I'm just trying to. How do I reconcile those two?
I don't know. Misunderstood geniuses. How about
You bet. All right, Moonheart by Charles de Lint, read by Paul Michael Garcia. So that's great.
have you heard of this book?
No, I haven't. Charles de Lint, he writes. I don't know if you call it urban fantasy or. It's a different kind of fantasy than most authors write. Anyway, he's kind of one of the unique authors.
Mm-hmm.
I read one book by him. I can't even remember what the name of it was.
There's one audiobook that came out before, called Spirit in the Wires, but I couldn't really get into it.
That's it. I actually listened to that.
I started it,
and
many times,
I had trouble getting into it too.
I'm not sure why I couldn't get into it because it seemed well written.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And unfortunately, I haven't read much by him other than that, so I really don't have a heck of a lot to say about him. So.
Hopefully this will be awesome. Who's Michael Garcia? Have we heard anything of him before?
Actually, I'm. The name sounds familiar.
Oh, he's on the next book.
Yeah, he's on the next one too. But yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, the next book is Robert A. Heinlein's Starman Jones.
Now this one is one of the few ones that hasn't been released in audio before.
Oh.
On most Heinlein books, they've done basically everything. Somebody's released it at some point earlier, but Starman Jones, I'm pretty sure hasn't been released before.
Wow, I did not know that.
It's one of the juveniles that hasn't been done.
Oh, I see.
I think he's a navigator. It's like Starman is his title. Like it's like a low-ranking guy on a spaceship or something like that.
Oh, cool.
Been a long time since I read it.
Okay. I'm just looking up Paul Michael Garcia to see what else he's read.
I'm betting he's a Blackstone guy.
Yeah, he is a Blackstone guy. And I'm flipping through here. I'm almost positive I've heard him before. And he's read one of their old ones, Saberhagen. Yeah, doesn't show much. Anyway, he's an Earphones Award winner from Audiophile. I know maybe that's just where I recognize his name, but I'm fairly sure. Did he read Kirinyaga? What is
that does sound a little bit familiar.
Kirinyaga. It didn't show up in my search. Yeah, it's because it's Paul Garcia, not Paul Michael Garcia.
But it's the same guy.
Kirinyaga. Yeah.
We just added the middle name to distinguish him. Okay. That was an excellent version. So
yeah,
it should be
good deal.
Good listen.
All right, now I've got one from. This is some audio drama publishers that I'm not familiar with.
That's the Grist Mill?
Yeah, the Grist Mill. We got two titles from them. One is called Slasher by F. Paul Wilson, and the other one is one CD that has two stories on it. One is Joe R. Lansdale's God of the Razor, and Mort Castle's If You Take My Hand, My Son. They're all three audio dramas.
I've heard of the first two for quite a while. They've been out there on the internet, and I think a couple of our audio drama friends out there on the internet have been saying they're really good. And then when I heard this new F. Paul Wilson one was coming out, I said we gotta get some of this stuff because the sample I heard is just excellent. Sounded really.
I listened to Slasher.
Yeah,
it's really excellent. Yeah, I mean the quality of the audio drama is really excellent, and that's something that audio drama today is tough for me because I love it is one thing, but there's just not a lot of good stuff being produced on the internet in my opinion through the podcasts and stuff. So when you find a good one, it's fantastic.
Well, I think these are being released mostly through download for purchase. CD Baby is the place to get them online. I think. I'm not sure how well they can do just as a download only, not being on Audible. But I've heard of them, and they're
there's
supposed to be good. So
there's a problem with Audible and audio drama as well.
oh yeah,
And that is because they're not in stereo. And so the files that you download from Audible are just in mono. So,
they gotta fix that. They gotta fix that.
yeah,
It's
they
just
really have to, because
really
audio
crazy.
drama, man, it's required. It's
They
absolutely
do
required.
sell audio drama too, which is kind of
Yeah, they do.
sick.
They do. And gosh, there's Yuri Rozovsky and Harlan Ellison made that 2000X.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I cannot find that anywhere. I never did get a version
on
on
Audible,
CD.
isn't it?
Yeah, but it's on Audible. But those are not good versions. I mean,
No.
I don't know. I don't want to stunt the sales of that audio drama, because the audio dramas are excellent and everyone should get them. There's no doubt about that. And that's the only version that I can find.
Gotta call a spade a shovel, though, and in this case, Audible has a serious problem with
and they
sound quality.
Do. Right, because if you can, those audio dramas, the sound quality is absolutely vital. I think it's vital on audiobooks too, although it's not as worrisome to me. But audio drama, when you're splitting things between the earphones, and I listen to audio drama on earphones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't listen to it just in the through speakers. So, but anyway, when you get it through Audible, it's just in mono, and you lose the quality of an audio drama.
Absolutely.
So, all right, and I got one more new release.
Cool.
Star Wars: The Force Unleashed.
This is a movie, no, not movie tie-in, it's a game tie-in, I think.
It is a game tie-in, yeah. And this is a game I'm looking forward to playing it.
I've seen some previews of it, and they keep emphasizing how the stormtroopers, turn into rag dolls when you grab them using the Force.
You bet.
So I'm sure there'll be a lot of that in the book.
Yeah. And this is one of those funny things. This is an abridgment of a novelization of a game. It's 6 hours long. It's written by Sean Williams, read by Jonathan Davis, who is absolutely excellent. But again, I had heard from Random House that they were going to start publishing these Star Wars novels unabridged. And I was a fan of the Star Wars novels for a little while. I just can't possibly keep up with how fast they release them.
It's amazing how much they can put out.
Yeah, it's astounding. And I was listening to a series, gosh darn it, I can't even remember what it's called. Anyway, the series, they were, in the Star Wars universe, they have mini-series of books. So, these 10 tell one long story in the Star Wars universe, that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they were releasing the books in unabridged format, and I loved them as much as I do the Star Trek novelizations. I mean, well, they're not novelizations, they're Star Trek novels, but they're abridged. And they're highly produced, and they're about the only abridgments that I really like. But
the Star Trek ones or the Star Wars ones?
The Star Trek ones. Yeah. But I was telling you, I enjoyed the Star Wars ones as much. But the problem is, if you abridge the first book in a series, and then the second book in a series, and then the third book in a series, well, by the time you're in the third book, they're talking about stuff they have not connected all the dots. So listening to them through abridged audio was deeply unsatisfying.
This is a serious problem that a lot of the big publishers have, is they don't feel the need to be consistent in following a release with a release of a similar thing. So, if there's going to be a release by Random House or something like that, and they're going to have a series and they haven't released the entire series, I'm not sure that I want to buy the first one. If I know there's more coming, until I know that the other ones are going to actually come out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the many problems I have with series novels.
Sure. So, anyway, they have abridged this one. Like I said, it's 6 hours long, 5 compact discs. I am not certain if an unabridged version is available. But we have been told by Random House that future Star Wars titles will be unabridged.
Right.
And that's going to be interesting, too. Random House, to me, the Star Wars novels in particular, you can watch them throughout their existence, and see how the audiobook industry has changed.
It's absolutely true because they've been around for so long. When I started listening to audiobooks, you'd go to the bookstore. There was, the self-help. There was a couple of Star Trek, a couple of Star Wars, and that was it.
Right. Yeah, and then Star Wars, they started off...
Two cassette, totally abridged.
Yeah, two cassette abridgments.
And you could barely understand what's going on in the plot because they're so abridged.
Yeah, that's right. And, they're thick books, too.
Mm-hmm.
They're like 500 pagers, and they come out in a two cassette abridgment. The worst example of abridgment I have ever seen, Tom Clancy wrote a book called Red Storm Rising.
Mm-hmm.
One cassette. I actually owned it. Well, unbelievable. It's like a 1,000-page novel. Here's a couple of
pages from the novel. not in order,
That's for sure. So anyway, then Star Wars, they changed to CD as the industry changed to CD.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do cassettes anymore. And then now they're changing from, their abridgments got longer. That's another thing that happened as the industry changed.
Mm-hmm.
A typical abridgment used to be 3 hours. Now it's 6. And now they're going to go unabridged, just like the rest of the industry as well. So
it's almost becoming redundant to say unabridged at the in the description.
Yeah, but not quite.
I really am gonna. I think we're gonna keep doing it for 5 or 6 years after industry completely switches over, because there's always some holdout here or there that just thinks that they can improve the book by editing bits out of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's it on the new releases.
Alrighty.
I'm sorry, not new releases. Those are our recent arrivals. Those are what actually have come in.
I remembered the name. Actually, I looked it up. Dr. Bloodmoney.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
I see. I don't see how you can stand to see these pass through your hands and then out like me.
It's tough. Philip K. Dick is an author that I have not read nearly enough of, and everyone that I see is interesting to me.
He's always got some weirdness going on that's fascinating and fun.
Okay, anything out there in the new releases front that interests you?
All of the above. Yes, please send them all towards me.
Please send them all to us. I'll tell you what, I'm listening to one right now that is kind of renewing my enthusiasm.
What's that?
It's Spin by Robert Charles Wilson. I'm about halfway through it.
Yeah, that's one of the new Audible Frontiers titles.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and Audible Frontiers right now, man, are they producing some good stuff. It's almost like
I wish they would slow down because I cannot keep up with their releases, and there's so many awesome titles. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic what they're doing. But yeah, Spin, when you listen to a lot of audiobooks, like we do, enthusiasm is like tides, I guess. Sometimes it's tedious.
The high ones are rare.
Pleasure, yeah. And Spin right now, it's one of those ones that I'm actually finding time to listen to more, which, I usually don't anymore because it's just...
Did you read the paper version?
No, I did not.
Ah.
No, as a matter of fact, I bought the paper version and I read the first couple of chapters and then I had to move on to something else and I was going to get back to it, and then this audio version was released. So I had, the first couple of chapters were familiar when I listened to it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm in all new stuff right now.
I'm finding the quality of the releases through Audible Frontiers is pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a couple people complaining of repeated lines and stuff. Actually, one of the ones I heard, there was a repeated line, but other than they've got great readers. They're adding in. Is there like a little interview with RCH at the beginning?
Yeah.
RCW.
Well, no, not. I didn't catch that on this one. Maybe it's at the end.
Okay. Sometimes they don't have them on all of them, but
yeah, I don't have
impressive.
one on this. I didn't, unless I missed it.
Unlikely.
Yeah, because I love those. In an audiobook, I absolutely love it when they throw that little thing extra in there. Hey, here's like Orson Scott Card's Ender series. They've all now got a little interview at the end.
You know,
And
the company that started something similar to that I really wish Audible would get. They were getting a lot of older audiobook titles that are out of print. Durkham, you remember Durkham?
yes, absolutely.
All the Durkham audiobooks, they had like little story notes, or I guess editor information about, so its place in science fiction history or something like that. It's so awesome. I spent so much money trying to get, old back issues of their releases, and I still haven't got all of them, and brings tears to my eyes that I don't, because there's so much goodness in each of their releases.
Well, that's great.
You were asking what's exciting me in new releases.
Yeah.
Well, I think the first book on tape that's coming out for ages, that it's been science fiction, this new Arthur C. Clarke one.
Right.
Arthur C. Clarke and Frederik Pohl. Frederik Pohl is really getting up there in years, and Arthur C. Clarke just died, so this could be the last book from both of them.
Right.
And the premise sounds pretty good. It's based on Fermat's last theorem, and then people are arguing different proofs of proving, his last theorem using the math of his day, and then the aliens come. So there's some sort of relationship between the two, and
that sounds good. Yeah.
You take Frederik Pohl, who's a great writer, and Arthur C. Clarke, who was, everybody knows his writing. You got to have some sort of goodness come out of that.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you.
Also,
sounds good.
Wonder Audio just released a bunch of new stuff, and I've heard Preferred Risk. I actually did some proof listening for it, and it's very interesting. It's another Frederik Pohl, an older one, done with Lester Del Rey. And it's kind of like all of his collaborations, but it's set on Earth in sort of a post-nuclear Holocaust era where there was a limited nuclear war. What's neat about it is it has sort of that 1960s, 1970s sort of earthbound story where it's a utopian novel, and they take some aspect of human society that's already developing, and they just maximize it out, see what the end point would be. And in this case, basically the world is not run by government, it's run by insurance companies, or a insurance company. And your existence is determined by whether you're a good risk or a bad risk. And it's very interesting because it shows how, that sort of mindset of insuring people for their own good versus rewarding bad behavior or rewarding good behavior would be tied into economics. It's very interesting, and it's sort of one of those utopian novels where it's really actually a dystopia, where the hero learns to join the revolution against his society. I really like those. There's sort of a whole series of those set all over the 60s and 70s. And Frederik Pohl is sort of into that, and Lester Del Rey wrote a lot of those sorts of things. And this is just it's not like the greatest novel ever, but it's a really solid novel of that genre I'd never heard of before. So that's great. It's a really...
Yeah, I'm looking at the website right now. So it is a novel. It's
long. This is one of his first few novels that he's done.
Oh, great.
Really, a whole lot of work involved in doing a novel versus a short story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I'm noticing here something else I've got to listen to pronto is Scanners Live in Vain by Cordwainer Smith.
Isn't that amazing?
It's great, yeah. It's fantastic. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, he's got some amazing stuff coming out. I was saying one of the best audiobooks I've ever heard came out through Wonder Audio. I'm trying to recall the title, but it'll come to me.
It was Bester, I think. Fondly Found.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Anything by Alfred Bester is awesome, but this is an amazing story because it's done in every kind of person you can imagine. First person, second person, third person. And it's got a sort of a mix of synesthesia where you mix, confuse different senses. And it's a mystery story told by either the murderer or someone related to the murderer. You're not sure until the story concludes. Just an amazing story, very powerful, very raw, very...
I enjoyed it as well. Not as much as you did, but I love Alfred Bester. You know, are his novels on audio anywhere? Because they'd actually make some really
one, good. You would think that those would be out already, but there's one release of, I was going to say Tiger, but that's not the title in North America.
Yeah, if somebody could do The Star's My Destination.
That's the one that hasn't been done.
Yeah, they should do that, but you know, it would take a little bit of style in that audio because of you know, the poetry and stuff in it.
I haven't actually read The Star's My Destination. I've read the other one, which is eluding me, which it was released through a British company, British publisher. I got a copy of that on cassette ages ago.
Gotcha.
And that was fantastic.
Hey Jesse, I noticed on the website this week you posted something about Conan and Broken Sea Audio.
Yeah. Paul Mannering, one of the guys in charge of Broken Sea, which is they call it Broken Sea Audio Productions. They're amateur audio drama group, you know, umbrella group, I guess is what I've been calling them. It's a bunch of people who like to make audio drama get together and make it. They've been releasing a bunch of Robert E. Howard stories, either as audiobooks or as audio dramas, and they got a cease and desist order from Conan Properties International.
What, they're telling them not to make these?
Well, that's not exactly the way they worded it. Well, the way they worded it is you got to stop, and specifically you got to stop using the word Conan in the title of your audio dramas, because they think that they have the right to the exclusive use of Conan as the title of their stories or their brand. Now, it's really interesting because Conan Properties International doesn't have the right to the stories. Most of Robert E. Howard's stuff is now public domain. So it'd be as if the example I've been using in some email debates is it's as if I can publish I could publish a study in Scarlet, but I don't have the right to mention Sherlock Holmes. Right? That's the idea is that Conan Properties International may not technically own the rights to the public domain stories because they're public domain, but they think that they own the right to the character of Conan created by Robert E. Howard.
I see.
And so
yeah, we've had discussions. To me, that's a real tough issue because I can see kind of both sides of that argument. For example, I remember a long time ago we were talking about it, and you mentioned like Mickey Mouse and Disney. Now, to me, the Disney Corporation has spent a fortune building Mickey Mouse as basically the symbol of their organization, right?
Yep.
So for someone else to use Mickey Mouse, no matter how old it is, without their permission, could be construed as being approved by Disney, and therefore I agree with Disney that they should be able to own that character, and whatever's done with that character, they should get to control that.
This is sort of the issue, the same sort of issue. This is a trademark, right? So Mickey Mouse is a trademark of Disney. And the way trademark law works versus copyright law is that as long as you protect your trademark, you keep using your trademark, you don't let it fall into the public domain, which is sort of a vague issue itself.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine you have a corporation that goes out of business. I was going to say like Atari, but it didn't actually go out of business. It just went very low. You have some corporation that goes out of, like Burma Shave. Okay, Burma Shave is not heavily advertised anymore. I'm assuming that it's out of business. If I wanted to use Burma Shave as the title of my book or something, I wouldn't be violating its trademark if the trademark is no longer being used by a company trading under that name or trading under that logo or whatever. That trademark lapses. Now, the case for Mickey Mouse is that it hasn't lapsed. They've been continuously using Mickey Mouse since, Steamboat Willie or before. But Steamboat Willie is in the public domain.
No kidding.
Yeah. Now, the issue here is there's actually a law in the U.S. Called the Mickey Mouse Law by some people because it was inspired by this very issue. They want to preserve the right of Mickey Mouse to be used only by Disney. And one of the issues, if you look on Wikipedia about this, is they've got a very solid example is a character that looks almost identical to Mickey Mouse is being used by one of the Middle Eastern news channels to quote unquote teach children to be terrorists, right? So this is the nightmare of the Disney Corporation. When we don't Disney, Mickey does not teach terrorism. That's not Mickey's thing. I can totally see why they want to protect that. But on the other hand, I don't think you can make the case that Conan Properties International has been continuously using the character of Conan since the stories came out in the 1920s and 1930s to show that he is a character protected by trademark for that entire time. And I don't even think that that's what they're trying to argue. I think what they're arguing is that the character we know of as Conan, the character basically developed in the 1970s in Marvel's Savage Sword of Conan and in Conan the Barbarian, the movie, and in Conan the Destroyer, the movie, and the Conan television show, and the Conan cartoon, and the modern Conan Dark Horse comics. That character is protected. And I think that that's the argument they're trying to make, but I think that they're willing to grab anything else that is out beyond that. So what does this mean? It means that they're making a claim on the use of the name Conan. Basically, maybe they're worried about the font of the word Conan resembling that of the font used by one of those instances of Conan the Barbarian. In lawsuits filed by Conan Properties International in the past, they don't actually say Conan is a character controlled by Conan Properties International as much as they say Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Cimmerian. And what those are names that are developed from the properties of later stuff. Sprague de Camp is one of the creators of Conan under the legislation. This is getting kind of technical, but Sprague de Camp did not write co-author stories with Robert E. Howard until long after Robert E. Howard was dead. So him being one of the creators of Conan is true in the sense that the modern idea of Conan is completely, it's actually more Sprague de Camp than it is Robert E. Howard. It's more because the way he influenced the stories is very strong, but it's not in the original stories that are unrelated to him. So all the public domain stuff is not the Sprague de Camp, Robert E. Howard collaborations. It's the Robert E. Howard stories all on their own. And I think that Broken Sea has a very, given that I'm not a lawyer and I hate that thing, but saying that, but not that I want to be a lawyer. I'm just saying I hate that we have to qualify our opinions, because this is a matter of reasonableness. If you can convince reasonable people that you're correct, then you're correct. That's how civil law works. In the balance of probabilities, if you can see that somebody is not doing something to actually hurt a company, then you're not actually hurting a company. And so, the way this issue works is, they've got a cease and desist order saying that they shouldn't be using Conan as the advertising of their stories. The cease and desist order has a lot of things wrong with it, including the fact that they think that Broken Sea is selling something, and then that's going to hurt the market for Conan Properties International's audiobooks, which don't exist. Broken Sea doesn't sell anything. They give everything away for free. They have no plans to sell anything. They only have plans to give things away for free. They do not sell anything. They won't be selling anything. That's not their thing. So hurting the market, does giving away free air hurt the market for bottled air? Yes, it does.
Yeah, but there's no audiobooks that exist or anything like that.
There have been no audiobook releases from Conan Properties International. There is another Audio Realms is releasing some other stories by Robert E. Howard, and I'm actually in the middle of reviewing one of those collections, and it's really good. But they also do not use Conan in the title, which is probably because of some sort of cease and desist order, because they originally had mentioned releasing titles under the name Conan Volume 1. This is a company that does sue people. And right, if you want to protect your money, they're selling the rights to Conan higgledy-piggledy, as they say, all over the world right now. And it's funny because there's so much Conan stuff coming out just at the time when almost everything Conan originally written by Robert E. Howard is public domain.
Right.
That's
fascinating. I mean, we could talk about this.
I just wanted
for a long time.
One more thing. I just wanted to mention that Lovecraft is the same situation. Almost everything written by Lovecraft is in the public domain. Right now, there's never been a better time to be a fan of Lovecraft. You can get it all. The quality is extremely high on a lot of the audiobook releases. All the stuff from Audio Realms, in fact. Wow. Just amazing, amazing.
Oh, it's great.
Story,
absolutely great.
Amazing releases, and there's lots of fan audio dramas and commercial audio dramas coming out with Lovecraft movies, and it's the best time to be a Lovecraft fan, and that's not because the character of Randolph Carter has become public domain. It ruined it for the market. No, it's the opposite. The market's been improved by it becoming public domain.